Literally the final couple steps of this marathon that is 162 games of a baseball season. I wanted to put together 5 of the most important themes, I think, right now for this A's season. Where they've been, where they're at, and obviously where they hope to go. Let's begin with number 1. Sitting on 94 wins as I record this with 6 games left to play. Look, getting back to 97 wins, which they accomplished last season, I think was a tall task to begin with. And yeah, if they split these final 6, go 3-3, they're easily back, obviously, to 97. But if you think about 97 last year, as this group was coming together, that was widely considered overachieving. So what do we call 97 wins this season? I think that's the realization that we're having right now, is to accept that this group set a ridiculously high bar last year, and maybe even this year they haven't even hit on all cylinders yet. We've seen times where this goes right, and then this element of their game goes right. But I really don't feel like you can say everything has truly come together for a week or a straight month for this team. But yet, here we are. Again, they have the ability to surpass the 97 wins they put up last year. Also, one more thought on the comparison of last season to this. It is crazy how once again, June 16th was the date we look back to as a turning point. Last year, I think they were 2 games below 500 on June 16th, and then they went on that tremendous run. This year, they were exactly 500. I think 36-36 on June 16th. And since then, best record in Major League Baseball. So something about being precisely midway through June that has turned the A's on each of the last 2 years, and it's pretty special. It really is. The second halves they've put together each of the last 2 years. All right, number 2 on my top 5 themes here. The month of September, some will obviously look at the schedule and the strength of it and say this was an easy ride. And it's hard to argue against that because the A's have only seen one opponent with a winning record this entire month. Those were the Houston Astros on the road. Now, the A's played 4 games down there. They won 3 of them. And after getting blown out in the first, they truly responded on the scoreboard, but also with the decisions. So, look, I don't know what this means for the playoffs, having a month like this. Very uncharacteristic that you would go up against all these losing record teams, but yet face the Astros and do that well against them. I think there's 2 ways to look at this. Number 1, it's a great confidence-building month for the A's. But hopefully it's also the part of the schedule where they did the heavy lifting earlier, and this is your reward to capitalize on as many wins as you can get. You know, it's weird to say through the entire baseball season, all you have to do is go out there and win a series. And the A's have done a lot of that. But now it's time to get greedy, as they have been, and try and win every last game to wrap up that top wildcard spot, which I'll touch on in just a second. Number 3 with the top 5 themes, who is the A's MVP? And I think for a lot of casual fans, they'll immediately throw out the names Chapman or Olsen or Mike Fiers based on the run of starts that he had. Those are very popular choices, and I'm not going to sit here and argue against any of those. I like all 3 of those guys. They are superstars. Matt Chapman has struggled with the bat in recent times. Matt Olsen missed the first month of this season. And Mike Fiers is a great starting pitcher who goes out there every 6th day. He's not in your lineup or participating on an every game basis. Again, I have a hard time discrediting any of those guys, but their names are obviously on the top of a lot of lists. What I want to do here is throw out a couple names that maybe you haven't thought of, including Liam Hendriks, Yusmeiro Petit, Mark Canha. Okay, those are all great choices for different reasons. There's one more, by the way. But you look at Liam Hendriks, when the team needed a guy to come in and close games, there weren't a lot of obvious choices when Blake Trinan maybe just, wasn't able to find success in that role. And so to have Liam right there, to have a guy with velocity in the high 90s and put away stuff and that closer mentality, where would the A's be if they didn't have a guy like Liam? Same thing with Yusmeiro Petit, already more than 70 appearances this season. I mean, he's basically a guy that's in there every other game. He's usually coming in for 1 or 2 innings of work. He's coming in right after the starter has exited, so to smooth things over and transition into the bullpen. Petit has been phenomenal in a year where the bullpen has largely and widely not been considered the biggest success. Petit is definitely one of the good stories. Mark Canha, another outstanding choice for MVP of this team, because you look at a player who was not even an everyday regular at the beginning of this season. Now he's in there every game as the center fielder and the cleanup hitter. He's taken over two roles that were necessary. Obviously, Laureano's injury provided Canha the playing time that he grabbed a hold of and ran away with, and the team was just looking for a guy with power capabilities in the cleanup spot. Canha's already at 25 homers. Again, a person who's not an everyday player to already be at 25, pretty special what Mark Canha has done with the occasion. But maybe for MVP of this team, Marcus Semien is the guy. More than 30 homers, more than 40 doubles, 120 runs scored, and almost 100 RBI this season. He's coming in close on that. He's your leadoff hitter. He's your everyday shortstop. He plays the toughest defensive position on the field. And he's breaking records set by Ricky Henderson. He's close to an Oakland runs scored record set by Reggie Jackson. The point is here, Marcus Semien has done it all this season, and he's done it on an everyday basis. You can look at some players who've had their weeks and their months, but Marcus, start to finish, has been the most consistent, among the most consistent. And so, again, this is a great problem to have, that you can't just sit here and name an MVP, but Marcus Semien, for me, has got to be up there on the list. All right, another problem as we get to the fourth big theme. Who would start a playoff game right here, right now for the Oakland A's? There's two great options. From the left side, Sean Manaea. From the right side, Mike Fiers. Now, this is kind of an apples and oranges conversation to have, and not just the lefty-righty thing, but Fiers has pitched all season. Manaea was hurt, but maybe his arm is a little more lively, a little more fresh in a potential wild card contest. You also don't even know who you're going to play yet. Is it Cleveland? Is it Tampa? Hopefully it's at the Coliseum. Maybe it's on the road. Does any of that make a difference? Of course, all of it does. So, look, this is a great problem to have. It's a great dilemma to have. Fiers or Manaea to start the wild card game. And the bonus is whoever doesn't start that lines up to be your game one starter of the ALDS. You have to plan that way. You have to think that way. So, yeah, this team is loaded with options, great options. I'm going to call this a problem. It's a great problem to have that you don't know who's going to start the playoff game, but it is a theme surrounding the team right now. And last but not least, I think one of the biggest themes, it's twofold here. It's the potential of hosting a wild card game, which I think we'd all love to see the A's do, because I really look back on last year and think that going on the road to Yankee Stadium and the way they capitalized in their first at-bats and really just ran away with the game, yeah, the Yankees were a great team, but something about playing that do-or-die game in somebody else's ballpark that really sets a different theme. And for Cleveland or Tampa to have to come out to Oakland and see a packed house, and you know what that atmosphere is going to be like for the opponent, I guarantee that makes some sort of a difference. Enough to win the game? Enough to sway the game? I don't really know, but it definitely makes a difference, and it would be a whole different scenario than last season. But more importantly than just hosting this game, I think we all need and want to see the A's in a playoff series. Last year, again, I keep going back to this, it just wasn't fair. 97 wins, more than any team in the National League, and then one game of the playoffs, they lose, they're done. The A's have played, just in the last month alone, the Yankees and the Astros so well over the course of a series. Yeah, they're going to lose some games, don't get me wrong. But in terms of a series and what you play all season long, that's a whole different ballgame than just the one wild card contest, all or nothing. So I think two of the biggest themes there to roll it into one and cap it off, hosting a wild card game and eventually getting the A's to a series, a playoff series against either the Yankees or the Astros. To me, that is a huge deal.